Our dreams of someday owning a dual-screen unfolding smartphone is about to come true. Tech companies have tried over and over again, from Samsung to Kyocera, to make a phone with two screens that will fold. And none of them have really made something that consumers can just buy yet, but ZTE has. It's got the AXON M, which is again, dual-screen folding phone, and that's about to be available to consumers soon via AT&T in the US, and other carriers will out. So first of all, you notice an icon with the letter M on it that lets you switch modes depending on how you want to use the phone. So when you tap on it, you'll see 4 icons, one for the regular mode and then 3 in a bar, dual mode for multitasking, extend for making your two screens one, and mirror mode for making them mimic each other. And we'll get into how all of those work in just a bit. So when you AB icon, that starts dual mode. This is for multitasking. You can use 2 apps side by side, and this is very useful for when you want to drag and drop things between apps. This also can be used for watching 2 videos at the same time if you have that kind of attention span. When you're in this mode, to say for example you're watching 2 videos, you can't be listening to 2 audio streams at once, right? So you have to use an audio toggle that ZTE built into the system, and that will let you switch the audio from, say, the top video or the bottom video. Hi-fi speakers from the existing Axon cello music that we heard during our hands-on definitely sounded crisp. When you tap the AA icon, you go into extend mode, which unifies all the content on your screen into one. So you're basically looking at one 6.75-inch screen instead of the 5.2-inch display from the 1520 by 1080 Full HD. In extend mode, you can basically have this larger screen for better viewing experience. However, there is this black bezel in between the 2 panels that kind of gets in the way of everything. ZTE is also working with a lot of developers to optimize their apps for this new interface. But what is happening here is when you launch an app in this extended mode, it's inheriting the tablet mode of, and ZTE has already optimized what it says is 80 of the top 100 most used apps for this. The third and final extra mode gained from this is mirror mode, which lets you set up the phone in kind of a tent orientation that you can see on convertible laptops these days, and either do a presentation to a friend facing progress per se, but it's something they're committed to building out further in the future. So you can be sure to expect more iterations. Speaking of the hardware here, this hinge definitely felt very sturdy during my time with. You can use the bottom screen as an on-screen keyboard if you want, for those of us who are already conditioned to using touchscreen keyboards. Camera on the AXON M is a 20 megapixel setup. Basically, because it has 2 screens, there's no such thing as a front-facing camera. What ZTE is doing here is using the one camera on the phone as both the rear and front setup. So when you activate the camera app, it defaults to the rear mode, and it will remind you to turn the phone over so that you see only the viewfinder on the other side. Of course, on this pre-production unit that we use, the camera was a little left lot to be desired. Colors seemed muted. Powering all of the AXON M's dual screen system is a Snapdragon 821 processor, which is relatively capable and is in all of the high-end phones from last year. That's relatively large for a regular phone, but you have to remember this is a phone that has 2 screens, and depending on how you use it, whether you're using both screens all the time or just one of the screens, we really need to get one in to test. And because we don't know how much the phone is going to cost, it's very hard to say if this is worth the money. However, it does seem like an intriguing